Alright, what's up, guys? Today we are talking about Son of Sam, now Son of Hope. Now, many of you may know who Son of Sam was. He was a serial killer who terrorized New York and even part of the countries from 1976 to 1977. Now he's a born-again Christian in New York, being a prison ministry. He leads a Bible study. He has multiple Christian tracts. Totally different guy. Now, what's always interested me is the psychology behind these guys. Why did they do it? What caused it? Who caused it, right? David had a very interesting life and many different events throughout his childhood, his teenhood, joining the military. Now, one of the biggest things that I really think kicked everything off was when he was 5 years old, his adopted parents told him, "You're adopted." And not only are you adopted, but when you were born, your birth mother died because of it. You're the reason your birth mother is dead. And your birth father couldn't handle the pain. It was too hard for him, so he put you up for adoption. And that is where Pearl and Nathan Berkowitz came in and adopted David Berkowitz. Bam. He was originally born Richard David Falco to Joseph Kleinman and Beatty Falco, but he was born outside wedlock. Now, David wouldn't discover this until years later in 1975 when he was on search to meet his birth mother. He met her and then was pretty disappointed, basically. He was really disappointed in who she was as a person. Now, when David turned 5 years old, as I said, that's when he became aware that he was adopted. And being that young and told that was really a stupid thing to do by his parents, but they did anyway. And so after this, David became obsessed with being this rebel, with being like a screw you to society kind of kid, right? He would stay out late. He was hide in his bed, hide in his closet, think about death. He would sneak out, be walking the streets of New York at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. He'd hide from his parents. The worst thing was he was a suicidal teen. Not even a teen, he was a suicidal kid. At 5 years old, he had this death wish. He would ride his bike into traffic. He would think about jumping off of one of those walk bridges they had in New York. He would jump from rooftop to rooftop. Not just like some more 10-foot roof, like 20, 30, 50, 60 foot high roofs. He would jump from rooftop to rooftop. A really depressed kid. And this behavior got worse and worse, okay? The problem to this is that he was very good at hiding it, right? So he would do something right, whatever it may be. He may have built a little doghouse, right? He may have cut the grass right, but he'd always find some way to get in trouble by messing up. He'd always find some way to screw something up. Because he was believed that he had to be punished. Like this was his only purpose was to get in trouble, to get punished because this kid, his mom was dead, right? He was really traumatized by that. And I think that's what really, I think that's what really messed him up and really started his downward behavior. Because he would also start fires, not big ones, but small ones, like in a wastebasket or some campfire he'd make it a little too big. Somewhere the fire department would have to come out and put the fires out. And he really messed up his childhood by he never really had anyone to talk to. And I think that's one thing that also led to his increased severity of the symptoms he had. He even said himself he wished he had someone to talk to. So he believed he was adopted. He thought his mother was dead, And not only that, but he also believed that his birth father wanted to kill him because he was born, and that caused his mother to die. He thought he was angry at that. I think that really just screws the kid's head. And then in 67, when he was just 14 years old, his adopted mother, Harold Berkowitz, got diagnosed with cancer. And very, very soon after, she died. So his humanity, his whole world is gone now. Whatever grace or kindness he had that was holding him back was gone now. So now he is this depressed, suicidal teen. He believes that his birth mother died because of him. His birth father wants to kill him because of that. And now his adopted mother is gone too. So now he's got all this to deal with, right? So now hate upon hate, trauma after trauma is just compounding in David's life right now. So he now strains to have a relationship with his father because he's working 60 hours plus a week at the hardware store trying to make money. A few years later, when he's about to finish high school, his father remarries, right? So now you got some new woman in his life. It's this change after change. In a child's life, you're supposed to have some kind of steady, some kind of pattern, right? Like there's always changes, always whirlwinds, but it's supposed to be some sort of pattern that stays the same, right? Some consistency, some steady hand. David never had that, okay? I'm not making excuses for him. I'm not at all excusing what he did. I'm just trying to show the hurt and pain that he was hiding that led to what he actually did. And hopefully this is a call to action for fathers to be a better father, right? To be a better role model to their children and be more involved in their life. Like I said, I mean, David had a lot of things that happened to him that weren't very good. In 71, David graduated high school. His parents, or his dad, was getting remarried, and he decided to join the military, right? He joined, I think, for the same reason I did, because he wanted to find some real family, right? He wanted to find people who actually cared about him, because he didn't have a real family, he didn't have any kind of structure, so he was looking for somebody to be his father, people to be his family, right? I think that's why a lot of guys join the military. He was also patriotic. He loved America, but he also wanted to find family, and that's a good reason to join. But he wanted to go to Vietnam, but if you realize the time he enlisted, the time he finished training, the Vietnam War was pretty much over with. There was nothing really left to do. So he got sent to Korea instead and went to DMZ, which was a demilitarized zone. They're basically just doing like a presence thing, right? Kind of like slowly pulling troops back. Never really did anything productive. So now it's just frustrated him even more. And when you don't have any kind of release, some kind of, I don't know how to say it, some kind of coping mechanism or some kind of release of something, it just keeps being pent up and stressing you out. David even said this himself, it's like a volcano erupted, right? Right before the murder started. So it's very difficult when you don't have somebody in your life to talk to. It's really difficult because you need someone to actually listen to. You need somebody to care about you, to care for you. And when you don't have that, David's situation can happen. Now, again, he's one of the 0.0001%. Not every depressed teen or fatherless child is going to become a serial killer. That's the abnormality, okay? That's the exception, not the rule. But this, this is the extreme of what can happen when you don't really have a good father, when you have a bunch of anger, and you don't have any real guidance. This can be a very true thing that happens to people. And maybe it's not murder, but it could be your child becomes a thief or a drug addict, right? It's more common for somebody to be an alcoholic or a drug addict when they have an estranged childhood, when they have absent parents, right? So I want to wrap this up by saying that fathers need to be more involved in their life, okay? Children are much more likely to do illegal activity, whether that's be drugs, alcohol, murder, stealing, without a father, right? It's very important to have a father and mother in the house. It's very important to raise your child in church. And I know, like Ted Bundy, he was raised in church, had a great family, he still turned out wrong, okay? You can have a great family and still have evil happen to that child. But it's going to be a lot less likely when you're actually involved in that child, you're actually playing with that child, you're fishing with them, you're taking them to runs, to cheer offs, whatever, right? It's a lot less likely when you have that structure and that love and that support than when you are without it. Again, there's always the abnormalities, right? Ted Bundy was a perfect example of that. But it's a lot less likely. David himself said he wished he had someone to talk to. That if he just had somebody to talk to, if he had just been able to let it out, maybe that wouldn't have happened. I don't know. Nobody knows. And again, this is not to excuse what he did. This is just to go deeper into the issue. Instead of saying he was a serial killer, well, why was he? What caused it? Who caused it? And as I go deeper into it, I'm going to explain more about his childhood, about his teenhood, joining the military, and really give you a deeper dive into serial killers and what their motive is. So until next time, God bless you guys. God be with you. Keep you safe. And I pray you have a blessed day. Keep watching. Make sure you subscribe, because we're talking a lot more about David Berkowitz, talk about Ted Bundy, talk about Zodiac, all things crimes, all things murder, all things Jesus, right? Because Jesus saved David Berkowitz, he can also save you, okay? God bless you. Have a great day. See you next time.